Big news, boy, that literally hit, social media, hit the world, you know what I mean, just about a couple of hours, sorry, before we met up here online. Michael K. Williams, man,
Yeah,
passed away at
that,
age 54.
yeah,
Yeah, he
horrible.
was found dead today, 2 p.m. inside of his Brooklyn residence. I've been hearing, well, actually, like just seeing certain tabloids saying that it may be a drug overdose.
Right.
And it's well, just to kick things off, with me, right? With my introduction to this actor was through his performance as Omar Little in what I regard as the best TV show of all time, The Wire, right?
Yeah,
He was one of the people who made me watch that show in the first place, right? And like for me, this was coming from somebody who didn't really care for police procedures, especially like prime time stuff, you know what I mean? But The Wire was just so gritty and real, and because it was coming from HBO, is mature, right? It's going edgy and hard, right? So,
right.
but Omar Little was just one of the standout characters in that show. Just the way his demeanor, him walking around with the jacket, with the shotgun underneath, and him whistling that.
Yeah,
Right. Sorry, my throat is dry, right? So couldn't really pull it off. I know everybody's saying, "Yo, Omar coming." You know what I mean? But they could have just left him as just, oh, he's just even a stick up kid. He's a stick up man, right? Because he just
you
basically
know,
used to go and rob drug dealers, right? That was his MO, right? But they developed his character way more, you know what I mean? Because like later on in season one, you learn that he actually is gay. He has a boyfriend, right? And
right.
then well, his boyfriend got killed, and it just started him on this vendetta against these drug dealers in Baltimore and all that stuff, right? And he was just one of he was just a standout figure in that series until his untimely demise in the final season. And I'm not gonna say how it happens, but that was a moment that struck me by surprise. But I was like, wow, wait, like that's who he dies. Jeez, wait, that was so. I don't want to say anticlimactic, way, but it was just unexpected. You know what I mean? It was totally unexpected, right? Um, what else? Afterwards, though, I saw him in Boardwalk Empire,
Right.
which was a favorite show of mine. I really, really dug that show. I don't love it as much as, say, The Wire or The Sopranos. Also, speaking of The Sopranos, he appeared in one of the episodes that would be in the third season, Army of One. I mean, I love The Sopranos, but I actually forgot his appearance in that show. I really should do a look. I really should look it up now. But the thing about him, though, is that he didn't really have any like you take at this point in time in the 2000s, he would have had like a leading role. You know what I mean? But it was just mostly side characters and whatnot, right? But even still, when he was there, he did his thing, right? I saw him in movies. I saw him like in Hollywood movies. Sorry, like I saw him in 12 Years a Slave, the RoboCop remake. I saw him in Ghostbusters, actually, the remake of Ghostbusters. I saw him in
Right.
that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Um, he
On
was
the
in
night of.
Superfly. Sorry.
Remember the night of? When
Yeah,
I
I was
saw.
gonna bring up the Night Off. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the HBO miniseries which
Yeah.
introduced me and you, Ricardo, to Riz Ahmed, right? Powerful miniseries,
Yeah.
one of the best I've seen from HBO, right? And but for me, like the last time I saw him literally was in a show that we covered. That would be Lovecraft Country, right, where he played
Mm.
the father to and the guy's name quickly to Jonathan Majors character,
Right. Yeah.
and just great performance there, just being this old man with a bunch of with just burdens on his mind and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, but point is, before we get to your thoughts, Ricardo, it's only like today that I just read up that even whilst he was shooting The Wire, he had a drug problem, right?
Right.
And it was to the point that I think it was in season three, whatever it is. He actually like found help, you know what I mean, through this random pastor that he ran into, you know what I mean, and like for me, like I didn't think that he went through that, no. So now hearing that he passed away and maybe this was the cause,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I mean that really hit my boy. So
Yeah. So.
but yeah, Ricardo,
Yeah.
thoughts
So.
on him and his career.
Yeah. 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 He was a great actor. Unfortunately, yeah. Horrible. Really. Really tragic news. From what I understand, well, this is kind of well, if you're familiar, if you remember, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Uh, similar situation, right, where he gone back on drugs. He had a drug problem in his early career, then he gone back, and then, from what I understand, in his case, and in this case as well, I think so. I think this might be the case as well. Is yeah, the drugs kind of stronger, and they cut with if you know what fentanyl is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Just make much more dangerous. Make the drugs. It's you could cut it, but you're not supposed to do that, and you really shouldn't do that. And I think that is what kill him. Because if you're, people don't really say you overdose on fentanyl. They really say it's poison, right? It really shouldn't be that situation. And right, that is the unfortunate thing. So I get a feeling that it's one of these things that we could make the effort to regulate. My attitude about drugs is that, look, I ain't no big drug man myself, but my attitude is that we should legalize, tax, and regulate. Right, that's my attitude at least. Yeah, great actor. Great stuff he has been in. Rough Craft Country, Night of, and yeah, Omar. So R.I.P. Michael K. Williams is really really sad and unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I mean, like, I don't want to spend a bunch of time on this, right? But the concern now, I imagine that will spring up, is if this was like a lockdown, inspired, or like if the
Right.
lockdown itself somewhat led to him doing what he did,
Yeah.
whether it was just being indoors for too long, or just probably thinking that maybe he his career was done, or maybe even worse, maybe something even more personal than that,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
I don't.
No, I mean, as I say, the thing with it is that the thing with as I say with drugs, I suspect it's the drugs was it was poison or spike, in some way, no different from poisoned alcohol or something like that. That's what I think happened is that the fentanyl is probably a factor, maybe I ain't really sure. But yeah, it's really sad. Um, really sad.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, I mean, he is and will still remain one of my favorite actors. Though, I do wish though that he could have gotten at least one leading role. I mean, in a
Right.
movie at least. But it didn't play out that way, unfortunately, right? But yeah, for what it's worth, though, R.I.P. Michael Kenneth Williams, man. Your legacy will live on, man, like forever, forever.
Yeah.
All right, so just sticking with TV a little bit more. Well, not so much TV, but more, web show, right? But technically TV, if you want to call it like call it that, right? I will talk briefly about the newest episode of Blackland. Yeah, this would be a post-apocalyptic sci-fi series. This is from the mind of Ansel Harris. I mean, this is part of his Phil Ventures comic book inspired universe, and also directed, or I should say co-directed by Keon Byron, right, who we've mentioned before with his Battrack Man series and his After the Apocalypse film. By the way, shout out to Keon, though. Congrats for your Battrack Man. I think it's episode 2, I believe it is. Yeah, making it, well, being an official entry into this year's TNT Film Festival, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is, it is. So this episode is called Another, right? So similar to the last couple of episodes, we learn a little bit more about the world, this post-apocalyptic world outside of Trinidad, right? So what we learn is that there was some sort of scientific experimentation taking place in Trinidad that's related to the virus, and we see just how dangerous learning the truth about it is in a kind of WikiLeaks kind of inspired like scene, basically, right? Um, so we see our hero. She again is on a daily search for food and supplies and people, right? And as the title suggests, she runs into someone else, right? And this someone's intentions aren't really made clear because at first he pretty much apprehends her, right? And then tries to feed her, and then he dropped the ball by turning back, and then he get the ass kick, right? But upon the ass kicking, now she sees like a few like really like surreal, like out there images which may or may not be related to what has happened to her, oh sorry, what has happened with the virus, or what's to come, or what's happened to it in general, right? um just to get to the positives, right? I would say, like, the sound design was very well handled, I must say. But I felt like vocally, like vocal wise, because the only person that you hear is the guy who plays the 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 mysterious person, basically, right? And this is played by Vichenko Noel, right? Yeah,
Okay.
he does some acting again. Like, from the moment I saw the beads, I was like, all right, that's Chenko again. Yeah, but yeah, he plays his character, right? But anyway, I felt like because what they do is that they did all of his dialogue via ADR in it.
Right.
So you can actually like hear the ADR in it. What I mean is that in the show, like he has like a banana sorry over his mouth. So like when you hear any vocals, they sound so clear and they sound loud. So it's like, well, yeah, clearly he's speaking to a mic. He doesn't sound like he has his mouth covered at all, right? So it almost kind of took me out of the show. I just felt like, like just going forward, just be a little mindful of, the audio levels, you know what I mean? Yeah, also a let down, man. Again, we're not hearing the lead man. Like I wanted her to at least see something in. I mean, this is like the third episode in and she's still
Right.
not seeing anything, you know what I mean? And maybe behind the scenes, maybe there's a reason for it though, like, but I don't want it to just be this silent badass who just doesn't see nothing just because, right? Um Also, those images that show up in the end though really like open up like a huge possibility as to what to expect. But another like gripe that I had though is like as soon as we see these images, right, something happens and then boom, like the episode just ends, right? You know what I mean? So
Okay.
it's
Right.
like you just build all that tension and then it just boosts. Like it's almost like if you just like blow a balloon and like halfway into blowing the balloon, somebody just come with a pin and boost it. That's how I can describe that. But like it just like you're like, oh shit, what really going on? And then it's like, nope, that's it, the end, right? And
Right.
then again, the length of these episodes, man. This one clocks in at about like roughly 8 minutes, man. And I understand we're working with time and budget, but and this going back to what you said with the first two episodes, you know what I mean, in terms of like telling a story visually, right? With no sound and all that kind of stuff, but especially in terms of the limited amount of time that you have, right? I felt they could have done that a lot more here because I felt like there was a bit too much time spent on the what I call the world news section. So that's where they tell you, oh, and in world news or in breaking news, this happens, and the virus this, and the president that, right? Like I felt like it was just there just to kind of set things up, but the rest of it, which involves our hero, it doesn't like relate to it at all, right? It's just kind of like how to describe it, almost like you watch like a cutscene for a video
Right.
game. Like it's just kind of there to just tell you, oh, this is what's going on, and maybe later on, somewhere halfway into the end of the game, you'll come back to that, but not right now. But it's still like, all right, just skip and just get to the story, right? The plot itself has ticking for sure because of that montage that I mentioned there, though. But I just really want to see how the show expands on that, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, the music is good. Color correction was well done. Direction and editing were, serviceable for the most part. And as a whole, I felt like this was, the most intriguing episode we've gotten so far. Like way more
Right.
intriguing than the first two. Um, at least something happens. That's all I'll see. It wasn't
Yeah.
just okay, kind of setting up, set it up, set it up, set it up, set it up, and then at the end we kind of tell you, all right, well, this is what to look forward to. This one, like things kind of happen, but unfortunately not much because of the length of time. You know what I mean? But still, I am looking forward to episode 4. It's just a question of when we'll get episode 4. You know what I mean? But given that climax to the episode, y'all can't just leave us hanging like that. Y'all need to explain that like as soon as, right? So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
not much more I could say. Looking forward to episode 4 of Black Landman.
Nice one. Okay.
Right. And sticking with TV one more time, let's finally talk about season 5 of Adult Swim's Rick and Morty, right?
Yeah.
The final episode actually aired last night, 2 times recording here. I
Yeah.
should say the last two episodes. I should say.
Last two episodes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because they took like a 2-3 week break basically,
Right.
and then just suddenly just dropped these 2 episodes on us, right? So before we get to those 2 episodes, because I feel like those two in particular, especially the finale, um, really do open up, a lot into what we could expect in the next season. And I felt like
Right.
here's where the season like really started to make sense. I'll
Yeah.
explain what I mean in a bit, right? But yeah,
Right. Well.
Ricardo, in a nutshell, what was the main
Well.
takeaway with this season here?
The payoff mean continuity with the last three episodes. It was a pretty not a bad season. I was laughing at every episode. I loved almost every episode. I think I loved. Liked everyone actually. More I think about it, but they decided to like land back into continuity narrative storytelling with the last 3 episodes, right? So the last episode, what 8, would have been basically they get into the history of Rick and Bird Person,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
which I liked.
Yeah,
Then
I
these
do.
last 2 episodes pay off the last. Then it needs to pay off this last whole thing involving. Basically, just resolve the Rick and Morty thing. And what made it kind of funny and clever is that, well, they I thought they was not going to pay this off at all, and I didn't expect them to pay it off at all. And the kind of the running narrative and joke was, oh, it's not going to ever be paid off because blah blah blah, right? Because, and because of the story train episode, and because of them just kind of making fun of continuity stuff. Like they had a whole joke in the story train episode about paying off Rick paying off
Yeah,
evil
yeah.
Morty. And I was like, okay, well, they're just gonna just drop it then. Like that's, and which is like clever and funny on its own because it makes sense. But then they bring back the bird person stuff. I was like, all right, well, maybe. And then they pay off the bet stuff, right, with Bet and the counter, the other version of Bet. And you're not sure which one is the quote unquote real daughter. And well, when we knowing what when they reveal, uh, you know, well, I could say from since I forget which episode that one. I think that was the season, I think 3 premiere, where um where we get to see a quote unquote dream version of Rick, and we understand why the Rick we following is the way he is because that Bet and that Bet's mother died in that version of the universe. They pay
Yeah.
that off ultimately by saying, "Oh no, that's canon and it's quote unquote real. That happened," and then they run through the full narrative in the whole thing with a whole plot device, basically a plot device that explains the situation. And basically the Morty that we follow get the scoop, right? There's a big two expo dumps in one, in less than 5 minutes,
Yeah.
um, about that. But yeah, they basically pay it off, and I mean, look, I used to care about it, but I kind of stopped caring about it, and now they make you care about it again, and it works. But then and then at the end of the episode, they basically pull a Sylvie, if you know who that is from Loki.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, they pretty much do that. They
Yeah,
have this.
with a little bit of Thor Ragnarok. I'll pick up on it. I'll pick up on it.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, right. And they explain, but they explain it out. They basically use roughly the same thing. They explain the what is the infinite finite curve, or forget what they call it. Um, they explain that, which I really liked.
Yeah,
I thought that was
is
very
the central finite curve.
central finite cube. That's what it
Yeah.
is, right? And I really like that they explain and address that. Like they explain this thing because it is a plot thing that I knew that question was always in the back of my mind about the show, but I always just treat it as if like, oh, well, that's just the story you're following, and they actually address it directly, which is, yeah, how come Rick's smart in every universe? Like it's only one time we see Rick dotish, like a dumb Rick. That's it. But every Rick is smart and thing, and they explain that. Is that yes, it's a contrivance to have Ricks be like that, and it's a whole engineered thing, and we know why it's engineered because of this effort at a truce to stop the situation, and we learn this story why. And I really enjoyed it for what it was. I thought it was a great finale. I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, indeed.
I
Yeah.
You see, the thing is because Rick and Morty fandom is not the healthiest fandom. Uh, I was kind
I
of
am
glad they.
so glad to be not a part of it.
Right, no, but it's it because I'm glad that the writers kind of didn't cater to the continuity nonsense now. Like they'll fight it on and they just kind of make a joke out and dismiss it, which I liked. But then decide to pay it off at the end. It's like, all right, okay, one way or the other, it works. For those who care, it's pretty cool. I don't care as much as other people, but I still enjoyed it for what it was. I wasn't too invested. In fact, the bird person stuff was more interesting to me, to be honest. But yeah, it was a great finale. They actually paid off the Morty thing, and then final shot with Morty, with the evil Morty, is great.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
what the reveal was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I don't
Mhm.
know what the reset is. They just leave it pretty open because we're not sure if the central finite curve is destroyed and the Rick and the Morty that we know is gone, or what's going on here. Like we
Yeah.
don't know. Like they leave it really open. And then that last piece, well, I think we could spoil it. A
Yeah,
yellow.
okay, well, for y'all listening right now, we had to get into spoilers. Not a lot
Right.
of spoilers, but we had to get into spoiler territory.
Right, but yeah,
Sorry.
but basically a yellow portal. That's it. Like the foundational idea of how this portal tech does work is green, and they explain the green thing, and they keep playing it off. And then it's like, no, it could have other types of portals, and that's going to be a whole thing, going forward. And yeah, I thought it was pretty clever and interesting where how they pay off the whole thing and what it was going for and where it going in the future, like where this whole it's just a locked off, much like it's very similar to Loki. I think the showrunner of Loki was an ex-writer on Rick and Morty. I think so. Um, so that's why it have such an overlapping concept now. Like you have a very contrived multiverse, and then you know you pay it off later with this open multiverse kind of thing paying itself off as it is, much like with Loki and the whole sacred timeline thing. Very similar
Yeah.
idea and concept, and they pay it off in this. But Rick and Morty was leading it up for a much longer time. I have a lot of great jokes in this, like the Stanley Rick and Morty. The Stanley Rick is funny.
Oh yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah,
a lot of funny
yeah.
jokes. It's great. But yeah, I dug it for what it was and what he was trying to go for.
Right, right. Well, I'll just kind of just run through quickly, just quick thoughts on the season 5 as a whole, right? I'm not gonna even call the titles because the titles are ridiculous. It's just interpolations
Yeah,
of movie
films. Yeah,
titles, but just
yeah,
with Rick and Morty in it, right? So
yeah.
I'm not even
It
gonna
was
waste my time with those, right?
no, I know it's funny. Yeah, it
So
was
it's like
see.
Rick Dependent Spree and Rick
No, but like
Convenient North and
yeah, these two final episodes was where it was by.
oh, it was forgetting Sarek Mortshell
Well,
and Rick
right.
Morai Jack,
Rick
which
Mariah,
which
right.
which threw me off boy because
Yeah,
I thought Swim ended up putting up a picture of Rick and Morty. Well, you see Rick literally dressed up like oh gosh, Ito Ogami from the Lone Wolf and Cub
right, right.
manga and movies, and I see him like right next to Jack from Samurai Jack. So in my head, I thinking, oh shit, season finale going to have a crossover. It's like nope,
Yeah,
that doesn't happen. But I'll talk about
but
what they do
yeah,
anime wise in a bit because they do
right.
something
And
really
then
clever.
there are a couple things worth mentioning before you go. Well, they had we call him Christopher Lloyd. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
doing
yeah.
doing these
They
weird
had
bits
these little
involved with Rick.
bits, yeah.
And that boy from
But
Stranger Things. Not Stranger Things. Stranger
no,
Things? From no,
it's
from It.
yes, from it.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
forget whom he named though, but yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. He was playing Morty. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's like these little clever little hype bits that they're doing and how they piece it off and pay it off later. Which I like.
Yeah, it was a nice way to hype up those last two episodes. Though, I must say, I really must say.
Mhm.
Yeah, so episode one, I really dug though, like just the character Mr. Nimbus alone was just really really hilarious. This kind of horny version of like not so much Aquaman but more Nemo, that character from
Right.
Marvel. That was really
Yeah.
cool. But I like the whole concept of oh well they go into this dimension to get bottles
Right.
of wine,
Yeah.
and then it just starts this whole Game of Thrones like saga involving some
Yeah.
family seeking
Yeah. It's
revenge against
hilarious. Yeah.
Morty and all kind of madness stuff. But how
Mhm.
that plays out story wise was just that was just some smart writing. Though. I just love how they was able to pull that off in such a short period of time. Though it just tells that it just really showed that these guys know a lot about pop culture. I mean, especially
Yeah.
with TV and movie writing and stuff, right? Second episode, which one was it by? All right, this was the decoy episode.
Right. Which I
Which
loved. Yeah.
yeah, I love it. I love how convoluted it was just for the sake of it. There's a moment where Rick literally pulls up a whiteboard and explaining, the possible the idea that decoys can make other decoys, and then those
Yeah.
decoys don't know that they're decoys,
Yeah.
and it
It
just
does get
done
it does
in
get
such a
weird and
convoluted way.
arbitrary. Yeah.
Exactly. You realize oh it makes no sense. But quick question, Ricardo, why do they call it the Asimov it's the Asimov theory, right?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
know
So
it's
I don't know.
author Isaac
I can't remember if
Asimov,
they
but
no.
why?
It's sorry.
No, no,
Repeat.
no. I was saying, is it related to the author Isaac Asimov?
Yeah. It's a play on the whole robots because well, I don't know if they make that up for the show or if this is a real thing. I forget, but yeah, it's based on that whole laws of robotics stuff. Now. What is the four laws of robotics or three laws of robotics or whatever it
All
is
right,
of
from which he had
that.
in iRobot, which was based off of
Right,
his
right.
book, right? Durr.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right, yeah, right. So it's
yeah,
that. This is just that idea of you have to be designed, but you have to not know you're doing the thing to design the thing to make them feel independent or some yes like that. Like well,
yeah. That post credit scene, um, is so baffling and weird and silly and hilarious and existential and
there's
frightening
with
all at once.
where's it? There's with Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry, but he's a wooden Jerry, but like he finds
Right, and he
himself
stick
like
around, yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
find peace in death, but he just keeps waking up in different eras.
Yeah.
That is oh yeah, and points for using the song. I forgot the name of the song. From Highlander, the "Want to Live Forever" song
Right,
from the
right,
Highlander
yeah.
movie. It's like
Yeah.
okay, I see you all there. But that covers so much existential ground, boy. It kind of
It's
frightens you,
funny.
right?
Yeah.
Anyway, the next episode though, this one's pretty cool though with Planetina. This is like the
Right, right. The Captain
the
Planet play out,
female,
right.
yeah, Captain Planet character. I love how they show the Planeteers. That's all I'll say without spoiling much
Okay,
though.
yeah, no, what was clever about that is you notice it had no Matty.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It had no
It was just
Matty,
four, right? It was just
just
with
four,
fire,
and it
wind,
had no
water, right? Yeah,
right at Matty's heart. And have no Matty. Because he was kind of the conscience of the group in the original show, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, that's one, and there's no Gaia either. Like that's the
No,
whole thing. But yeah, I thought that game was I thought that episode was great too.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was, and I felt so sorry for Rick, sorry for Morty boy, because you could tell
yeah.
how enamored he was by her, but just that sudden switch boy, where she like just being all maniacal when it comes to saving the youth
Right.
boy, was just
No,
came
well,
out of
yeah,
nowhere though, but
exactly.
it was.
But exactly. Again, the problem with Captain Planet is that he's like super bad guy. He could easily become Emperor of Earth and turn on people. So you have to know how to play that. And I like how they play with that. It's like, oh no, if Captain Planet were to be, it's like a dark Captain Planet idea, no different from like a Omni Man or what do I call it? The Boys. Is that character name?
Oh, Homelander, yeah,
Homelander, right, right. It's like
yeah,
that. It's that dark version of a character. Like, yeah, the character would naturally become, and again, it makes sense without the hard part. Like,
you're
yeah,
right, right,
you'd be utterly angry and psychotic. It's like, yeah, humans is the cause of this. Time to get rid of
yeah.
them. Sorry, it would be a
I
equal
just
nightmare. There.
Yeah, I just find the switch was like really quick though.
Yeah,
Like
real
there wasn't
sudden.
like a real build up to it though. Like that's just saying out just quickly. They could have kind of set it up when she actually like meets Morty's parents. Could have been
Right.
there, but they just leave that afterwards, right? That's my minor gripe, right?
Yeah.
The next one, this was the one that a lot of people were saying, oh, it's so crass and so juvenile. You know what I mean? Because it's just making jokes out of sperm, right? That's what it is. It's just
I love
these
this episode.
sperm monsters and just going around like
Yes.
Tremor style. But I just love how
Yeah.
far they
It's
went with it. When they just kept
yeah, and it had a bunch of
going with it.
yeah, it had a bunch of great sci-fi references in it. Like it's
They make fun of Predator too, like
Predator.
the
It's
badass soldiers, and then you have that
right,
one guy who like
right,
real zen, and you have the
and
samurai sword.
he's
How
a
he
waste of
dies
time.
was how he dies was
Yeah,
hilarious too,
yeah,
and how
yeah.
they
But
actually like try to how they kill. Oh, sorry, how they stop them? How they stop the evil
right,
spoon monsters? And you have what the chud people, what the horse people
right,
stuff.
right.
It was crazy, you
But
know.
yeah, it's like they make reference to the Langoliers, if you remember that. That's an old Stephen King book, but the
Yeah,
movie
I
is like
remember. Mm.
yeah, the movie is total nonsense. But it reminded me of the Langoliers a little bit. Yeah, that was a fun. I love that episode because how stupid it is, but it's
That's
like
what I
just
like it
not.
for, but some
Yeah,
people
yeah,
was just like, but oh gosh, man, it's just scum jokes and sperm jokes. Like, come
right,
on,
right,
be
right.
smarter than that. It's like that's
No,
the
no,
point. Like,
no,
it's
yeah,
supposed
exactly.
to be dumb, right? Anyway, next episode. This was with the Cenobites type characters. These
Right,
basically poking fun at Hellraiser, right?
right. Which I
And
love. I like
yeah,
this episode too.
which was dope as well. I like how they were feeding off the cringiness of Jerry's
Yeah,
not even his
love it.
humor, but just him as a person.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
how Jerry just kind of find out about it and
you
just
know.
like flipping everybody off. That was cool. You also had this B story involving Morty and Summer,
And the
like
school kid in school,
right,
right?
this cool kid
Yeah,
and they just
yeah.
flying around in
And
the
the
brick
car.
spaceship. Yeah, to the car. Points for her like trying to kill these. Well, they're not transformers, but they call it something else. To just like
Right,
wipe it out. Change formers. That's what they call.
right.
Yeah.
But they play on the whole 80s Snow Lodge thing. Like it's a 80s
Yes.
80s 80s or what is a teen comedy kind of thing though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the episode too. It's just how much of the episode just had me cracking up. Just so ridiculous and silly. And
Yeah.
but they make
Oh,
it
but
work. Like it's just fun.
yeah, and the songs that they play for Bruce, like Bruce has his own team, so like this
Right,
real
right, right.
cheesy like late 80s rock song was
Mhm.
hilarious as well. You know what I mean? Points for that. The next one was the Thanksgiving episode, man. So this is
Right.
the the president and turkeys, and
Yeah,
a turkey turns into the president, and all
yeah,
kind of insanity though. That one was dope as well though. Just hearing Keith David again, and
yeah,
him actually, well, on screen, doing the fight, the classic fight scene from They Live.
right,
That was great as well. I heard Timothy Oliphant was in it as well. I think he played
right,
one of the Marine guys who was supposed to go and protect the what it is, why the turkeys and all that kind of stuff. That but
right.
that was really cool. That was really cool. Um, Next one was, oh, well, this one was one of my favorites here. This is where we have the Mecha parody episode, right? So it's
Right.
Voltron instead of
Go right.
Voltron,
It's right,
right? I
right.
just love how they carry that narrative out. They made it play like it was some kind of crime film. It's like, oh, we gotta get
Yeah, it's
all the
like a
Rick and Morty
Scarface episode
families, and we
almost.
gotta
Yeah,
all
yeah,
acquire all these Voltrons, right? And then they have like the anime characters themselves, and just how they were
yeah,
animated, how they were voicing thing was spot on. I loved it.
yeah. They play
And
on it.
yeah,
They
just
play on it real dark, eh? Because it's like, oh
yes.
shit, it's basically an episode because it's like Casino. It's like you're watching Casino play out, or what's some Scorsese film, or whatever.
Or like
The rise and fall.
Goodfellas, yeah.
Oh,
Right,
Goodfellas,
the
right?
rise
Yeah,
and fall in this
yeah,
crime thing, because you had Summer doing this narration thing, like, oh yeah, well, this is what we do. You even have a blink and you missing moment where they reference Godfather Part 2, which is where you have like this woman on a bed, like like her body just like blown, like bloody now. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And somebody had to come and like clean it up, and assure the person, it's okay, we'll clean it up, don't worry. So that was a reference to Godfather too. I was like, okay,
mhm,
okay, I like that, I like that. But yeah, as far as just making fun of like those like Robotron and Voltron, those kind of shows, that was spot on, right? So now for the last three. So episode 8, that one with Bird Person, basically is where Rick has to go into his mind because he's trying to
yes.
like
And
revive him now.
what
Like
is the title was basically
it's Rick
Spotless Mind.
Tunnel friend Shine
Right.
of the
Yeah.
Spotless Mort.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Eternal.
So
Yeah. Eternal. Yeah.
yeah,
Eternal
and
Sunshine.
just
Yeah.
like Eternal Sunshine, Spotless Mind. I love how they do it in the show here, where it's like it's memories, but it's both Bird Person's memories, but then Rick himself had incorporated memories that he experienced with him to try to
Yeah.
get him out of Bird Person's brain, basically, right? So
Yeah.
let's see how both those two things clash. If I have one gripe though, because one thing that they actually revealed, I kind of forgot this, was actually that Bird Person and Tammy had a daughter, and then you see the
Right.
post credit, she the prison, and she get into this like real brutal fight. I thought we'd have
Yeah.
follow up on the daughter though, but it's just
That's
like,
why.
well,
See, that's what I was saying.
no,
That's why I was more interested in Bird Person narrative than the whole Evil Morty narrative. Because I really thought we was there was gonna follow up on that. Not just Evil Morty and his plan. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, overall, dog, that episode though, I love how it just felt like we just gained a whole set of backstory into this character's life, but in just this 20-minute chunk basically, and it just really like touches on one of the main problems with Rick. You know what I mean? Just his toxicity when it comes to being
Yeah.
with friends now. You know what I mean? How he latches onto them, kind of sucks them dry, and then kind of disposes them, but not in a foolish kind of way, but just like, yeah, you know what I mean, busy, or like kind of, like kind of just ducks them in a sense, like avoids them in a sense, right? I love how that comes back up in the next two episodes, right? Because it reflects now with Morty, sorry, with Morty himself, right?
Yeah.
That would be the forgetting Sarek Mort show, right? So, he ends up kind of doing something wrong, right? Like he's trying to help Rick out, and he's just afraid that if he tells Rick, I mean, he'll get cussed out, right? So he's just like, well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
nothing
He messed
happened,
up
right?
with the
But then
yeah.
right. So he doesn't want to damage their relationship now. So he ends up like spilling some portal fluid on his hand,
Right.
right? And then he stumbles on this, well, assumedly this mental patient now who has portal fluid on his knee,
Yeah.
and helps him escape and all that kind of stuff. I love the back and forth between the two. There's a great moment where you say, this is just like I'm like Jackie Chan, right? And then the guy says, I'm like Chris Tucker. It's like, okay, to be like that's the only name you could think of like after you
Mhm.
hear Jackie Chan. That was cool, right? Where they go with that was really weird and funny as well, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, with Rick, however, you see how he kind of doesn't want to confront the problem. So he just kind of says, well, you know what? I'm done with you. I just picked these two crows and let's go on adventures and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, you just see how it all kind of comes together at the end of that, where basically, yeah, Rick is just like, well, yeah, I know, I've suddenly realized through being with these two crows how bad of an influence I am on you, right? So I'm gonna leave. I'm not gonna come back, right? And it just kind of ends there. And then we get the finale now, and I love how it begins, where basically Rick playing D as in Vampire Hunter D, like
Right.
the
Yeah.
suit,
Yeah. We're gonna,
the
yeah.
the
Yeah.
horse. I was like, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Straight up. Yeah. Straight up anime opening there.
yes. But what caught my surprise though is that the show doesn't, like, I thought the whole episode was gonna be like anime parody there, but
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
kind
I
of
thought so
goes on
too.
for like about like 5-8 minutes. This stops and go back to normal. Like, all right, okay.
Yeah.
But I was loving everything about it though, from
Yeah.
the look, the visual story, to all the anime inspired stuff, to right down to the theme song, which if you listen closely has a bit of the Rick and Morty theme if you hear
Yeah.
the music, right? Um, and yeah, boy, like I didn't expect that, he'd end up going to the Citadel. You see, well, President Morty this time now. So it's like, okay, well, Morty, became president. Okay, cool.
Right.
And then you realize, oh, it's actually evil Morty. And then he kind of reveals everything that's going on. Essentially, why the end of the day, why Rick is the type of person that he is, and he will continue to just damage the lives of his family, because he
Yeah.
just keeps doing it in all these different realities, basically, right? And you see how they all kind of put together in this central
Yeah. So
finite curve and all that
right.
stuff.
Exactly. I thought that was. I didn't expect that twist. So that was like an actual like
Neither me,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
That was
and it's
actually I
one,
was like. Yeah. Good.
yeah, and it's one of those montages. Like, I had to rewatch those montages, just to make sure I pick up on everything. Like, I didn't even know that it was designed to a point that they made sure that every Jerry
That.
and
Oh boy. Yeah, as many bets and Jerry's get
yeah,
together.
and Bet, you have to get
Right.
together.
Right.
And
Right. And it gets
see
it. It gets it.
all
It
at
gets it.
any moment they have to get sorry, that all realities that exist in, they have to get together. I was like,
Right.
wow, okay.
Yeah, exactly, because the Morty is a specific set of genetics. But what's interesting is that, remember the episode with the I forget what the actual episode, but it had that one where they were seeing each other in parallel realities.
All
And
right, right, in the
or,
same shot, right?
no, like it was like a VR helmet that Brick built for them to see alternate realities. And
Oh,
you
right, that
notice
one. Hmm.
so right. So somebody was making up a point that how Summer might become a more important character. And my fan
Huh,
theory is that, remember, she do exist in a bunch of other realities. Like, it's a whole chunk of realities. Summer is actually quite rare, like
that's
in
true.
the
Yeah.
thing. Whilst Morty is this thing, and this makes sense because
Yeah,
it answered
I
that
think we
question.
only like really see her in like these post-apocalyptic realities, like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
like I think
exactly.
like Cronenberg verse or
Right,
something like that.
right.
I
No,
think she's there.
she's
Yeah.
relatively, yeah, she's relatively rare. It's like she exists in alternate realities, just she relatively rare compared to Rick's and Morty's, and we now understand why, because it's both a contrivance to cater to Rick's and to cater to Morty's, as the, well, effectively the, well, for lack of a better term, a slavery. Um, and I thought that was pretty clever. Like, it's the concept of the what do you call it? Just this the secret timeline once again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I
And
thought that was
it has a very Matrix feel to it, especially with the shots of just seeing the Mortys and like these conveyor belts and whatnot, and then
yeah,
you're just seeing like bodies upon bodies of like disposed Mortys, though, which was quite disturbing actually, if
yeah,
I
right,
must say, yeah. But the second montage though was really 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 powerful as well too, because yeah, you get to understand what caused Rick to be the person he is, and how he stumbled on the whole the whole portal gun travel thing, right? And how he eventually just kind of
right.
stops at a point when he actually sees, I assume he sees Bet for the first time now, you know what I mean? So,
Well,
you
no,
know,
it's right. Well, I
or
suppose
a
right.
Bet, or D
Well,
Bet,
right, a bet. Yeah, exactly. Because we don't know what happened to this bet's Rick. Well, remember, it's
exactly.
a second one, and again, this is why I hate the continuity stuff in the show, though. But whatever. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But
I glad.
it was such a powerful moment though, and
Right. So the first
that's what
time,
this last thing is was we forget your thoughts, right? Those two sequences alone though, those are ones that I'm gonna go back to, but because like I don't want to, like I don't see that this is gonna be like the new Loki where everybody gonna come with theory videos and stuff. Maybe there's theory videos for Rick and Morty's. I don't know. I know there's a podcast, but I don't know if there's like theory videos on specific
nah,
aspects
yeah,
of the show. But I feel like for
it
those
no,
two moments,
for
yeah, we're gonna
yeah, no,
be
that was
dissected
a
for
thing
sure.
for a hot minute. That's
Right.
always been a thing for a hot minute. The whole, theorizing in Rick and Morty, because it's like, oh, which universe we following, and blah blah blah
Right.
blah blah. I
Yeah.
personally, because it's by design so incredibly convoluted, I kind of just give up. It's just a annoying headache that don't make it much sense to keep it. But
But I
yeah,
want to
yeah,
know, man. 'Cause I feel like if I don't know, I feel like I'm missing something out, man. And then I don't feel like I belong.
as I said, the writers of Rick and Morty already account for this, and they make kind of make the point to like not cater to that, not cater not trying to cater too much to continuity nonsense. No? They'll got bogged down in it and so on. So
Right.
I thought it was very deliberate with this trying to avoid that. No, to be honest, no. That's why I thought the story during episode was so clever. No?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
In the last season, yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, just how it ends though with our Rick and Morty trying to survive. Well, sorry, just basically jumping into the ship when everything else around them is just being destroyed now. So it has a bunch of Rick and Mortys in there now, but we're not too sure what's gonna happen there. And then that
yeah,
last shot with even Morty, man. I mean, like literally going into a gold portal. Like, whoa, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And I
Hmm.
love like in the post credit scene how you have Mr. Poopy Butthole, right, who
Watching it,
usually shows
yeah.
up in the finales, post credit for the finales, kind of not really explaining what we saw earlier, but just kind of showing on, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, just the reality when you find out the people that you love and you trust, when you realize they're not really worth it in the first anyway, you know? And how, yeah, we don't really have as much time as we believe we do, right? And, he even mentions on, boy, well, I divorced, and remember I was supposed to be, I was a teacher, well, yeah, that didn't work out, so it's a downer of an ending, though, but I felt like it was a witty way to end things off, man.
Yeah,
Because yeah,
right,
it was
exactly.
a down of
Yeah,
an
me too.
ending,
Yeah.
but still like, oh well, now the possibilities of what could happen next are wide open. So
Yeah.
before I get to rating, right? I think like I don't know how far this show should run for. I think like if it were up to me, I think this show should kind of go for like at least one more season. See what how this
Well,
finale turned out.
from what I understood, contract wise, there's about at least 5 or 6 more seasons left.
Okay,
Because the way
okay,
how
well,
they,
great.
the way how they end this, I was wondering like how they're gonna stretch out the show, but then the way how they end this, um, with the way how they end this season, I was like, all right, they blow up everything now. They just totally, as they say, Sylvie destroy, the secret timeline, right? I thought, okay, now it has so much extra potential for the show and all these ideas that they could bring forward, much like with Marvel and the What If stuff. They opening up stuff. They come up with a way. Sorry, multiverse is a pretty easy way to do that. Rick and Morty contrive the multiverse and then truly create a quote unquote true multiverse now. With the storyline, I was like, all right, that's now kind of interesting and engaging. Even though, as I said before, I'm not the biggest fan of the um continuity stuff, like catering to continuity and that kind of stuff, right? But whatever. I'm happy that they're doing it as it is, and I'm enjoying it. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean the sky's the limit literally with this
Yeah,
show, but I really do hope that the show does continue on. I want to say this though, because they usually take a while to get these seasons out. I'm hoping
yeah,
that we really do have to wait too long, right? But for the time being, I will still give this season here, season five, a decent 4 out of 5, man.
yeah,
I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. I kind of sort of prefer the previous season over it though, mainly
okay,
because like I just felt like we had a lot of like stories and adventures here, but like I kind of was just kind of looking for that narrative thread basically to connect
right,
everything. And like at first I thought it was going to be about Morty just getting fed up of Rick's bullshit because that's what they set up in the premiere now. But
yeah,
then it just kind of leads to different directions and all that kind of stuff, right? But I felt that should have been just the central aspect of this whole season, right? That's just my one gripe, right? But yeah, other than that though, I thoroughly enjoyed, man. I mean, it's just the same subversive, just speaking all these really smart and clever references to pop culture and sci-fi and all these
yeah.
things,
Hmm.
just to the extreme, basically, right? So, yeah, can't wait to see what we get with season 6, though. I really do hope that we get one, very soon, man. All right, so last thoughts and rating.
Yeah, I really, really dug this for what it was. I really enjoyed it, thoroughly enjoyed it for what it was trying to do and go for. And I can't be mad at any of it, to be honest. I just was digging the hell out of it, and it worked. It really, really worked for what it was trying to go for and do. So yeah, yeah. For me, I give it a pretty solid score, because even though I'm not the biggest fan of the whole catering to, I'm not the biggest fan of the whole catering to the continuity stuff. It still works for what it is, and I can't be mad at any of it. So yeah, I give it a strong, I give it a strong 8 out of 10.
All right, nice.